So impactful work, this is really, where the rubber meets the road. I look at it as like, okay, your passion is your inward calling on your heartstrings, right? Something really you feel called to do to then actually serve a purpose, right? That outward serving mission. And with your purpose, it has to be someone that you actually want to serve. Like we've all made the mistake where you sell the wrong people into your program or service and you like have to fulfill on it. And so you need to really think about your passion and your purpose to ultimately then make a positive impact, right? This is a big piece, and that's what Happy Hustling is all about, that impactful work.
Welcome back to this week's episode. We're here with Cary Jack, the Happy Hustler. How you doing, brother?
I'm stoked to be here, Greg. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. For the audience, we were just rapping before and we're like, oh, maybe we should start recording right now and actually get into the show. And we just hit the topic of Happy Hustler and sort of how, this is you went from a previous business, which was really around biohacking, and this is the new calling. This is the new purpose. So, let's explain it to the audience. I mean, I've had some time to check out your stuff. I'm into it, but first, I love the name Happy Hustler. How did you come up with that? And then describe it for us. Like, what is Happy Hustler, and what is the message and the learning we're trying to get out there?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, the Happy Hustle truly is the systematic harmonization of ambition and well-being. Right? The systematic harmonization of ambition and well-being. Like we're all ambitious, right? But a lot of times that ambition sometimes comes at a cost, and we sacrifice our faith, our family, our friends, our fitness, our fun, right? So for me, Happy Hustling is putting our well-being and our freedom at the forefront while still being ambitious and building our dream reality.
I like that. And by the way, I said hustler. It's not hustler. It's hustle. Right?
Yeah. Well, the Happy Hustlers are the tribe. So you got it right.
Okay. So we're still on brand. Right?
Yeah.
I like what you talk about. I mean, you come from the world of, mental health, well-being, biohacking, looking after yourself. And yeah, that does become the stuff that becomes the expense to sometimes the success in business. And, people do see this as a black and white, one or the other type of situation, right? I mean, you hear this all the time, like you need to hustle, 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 hustle. And truthfully, look, I came from that world. I mean, I came from a world of
same.
Yeah, 60, 80-hour weeks. And that's what it took to make it, right? But again, at the cost of your well-being. So let me start with that. You came from that world. Right? You just described. I mean, is it true that we need to drive at least early days in our effort, our business, our career? Do we need to be willing to drive that hard early days to get to a stage where we can actually have more balance?
I don't think so, honestly. I mean, I was driving hard, like you said, man, and I burnt out, actually. Like I was full on burnout. I was running a tech company in New York City, if you can believe it. Far cry from where I am at in Montana and where I grew up.
Very different, right? Did you grow up?
I grew up half in Montana, half in Florida. My mom lived in Florida, in Sarasota. My dad lived in Red Lodge, Montana. So I was kind of like this hippie cowboy, like half camping, fishing, hunting, hiking, half surf and skate. It was, interesting nonetheless. But I digress. The tech entrepreneurship piece.
Running this tech company, yeah.
Yeah, man. I was getting after it, building this business with my brother, who happens to be my business partner and best friend. And, and we were just, grinding like 100+ hour weeks, getting roughly 5 hours of sleep, just, nose to the grindstone, fake it until we make it kind of thing. And we built this like algorithm around feedback, actually. And at first I didn't see the applications in multiple industries, but investors did. And so did Microsoft and IBM. And we had these big partnerships on the table and a 7-figure VC funding play and all this 5-year exit and all this stuff. And I was grinding so hard that I really did burn out. I was so unfulfilled. I was so unhappy, and it came to a head when we had to sign the paperwork for these big partnerships. And dude, with tears in my eyes, I was ripping these papers up like, I can't do it. And so I ended up moving to Bangkok, Thailand for about a year. My brother went back to get his master's at the University of Florida. And that's where the Happy Hustle really was born, where I started to put the happy in my everyday hustle. And I think there is a better way, a systematic way to balance, that ambition and that well-being. And that's, kind of my life's mission now.
So let's go back. So you're at the table, you're about to sign the deal, and you blow it up in like what, the 11th hour? Just, I can't pull this off, I can't do it. We're out.
Yep, pretty much.
And did you have this conversation with your brother before, or what was like this, like in the moment? He's like, "What are you doing?"
Oh no, no, he was in the same boat. We were both spent, man. We were both
Yeah.
like, we were like, I mean, total, just full on tech founders grinding it, like, with the 5-year exit looming. But we were really like slumming it at our core. At the surface, we looked like we were doing it live and just and like having all the success. But like at the background, I mean, we were sharing a king size bed in a dump apartment in Astoria, Queens. I mean, it was like real, like just barely making it. But but at the forefront, we looked like we had it all figured out. And when it did come time to like almost make all the dreams come true with this funding and these partnerships, we realized this really isn't the fulfilling path that we desire.
Right. And it was going to get worse. It was going to cost more time, and it was going to
Oh
pull
yeah.
out of you. And that 5 year turns into 7, and 7 turns into 10, and then it's another exercise. And before you know it, you've blown by 25 years.
Amen, brother. That's the truth.
Right. So, by the way, I spent some time in Thailand.
Nice.
How long were you in Thailand for?
About a year, yeah, which
Oh, wow.
probably cost me about 3 years of my life.
Yeah. Where were you staying in Thailand?
Oh, dude, I was all over. I mean, I was in Bangkok. I had like a penthouse for like $400 a month,
I know
just,
the cheapest
infinity pool.
world, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was epic. And then went to Singapore and Bali and Vietnam and
You toured, you
Cambodia. And just,
traveled, and you did
oh,
the
yeah.
did the full
Dude, I
month.
rented a camper in Bangkok. The one thing they say is don't drive in Bangkok.
No.
And I'm like, coming from Montana, I'm like, we camp, So I rented the only camper place in Thailand. I was like, I got a bunch of people that I met at a hostel party, and
Yeah.
we went and cruised the whole country in a camper. It was pretty awesome.
Cool. That's cool, man. Those are the good old days of traveling. You don't hear that anymore. The backpacking, the
Yeah,
hostels, like that was, I think, a different time. I think if you went today to tell people they should travel like that, they might look at you if you got 3 heads on your shoulder.
probably.
So cool. So you're in Thailand. You're sort of, you have this moment where it's like, okay, whew, let's breathe, let's exhale, right? You're
Yeah.
exposed to a world which is not North America. It's a different pace. It's a
Yep.
different style of living. You appreciate living in dirt. You appreciate buying pad thai in the street for 25 cents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then what happens next? I mean, when is the decision to sort of come back and start to build this new business?
Yeah. Well, I was over there. I have one foot in the entertainment world, while I'm over there. And for the past, 2 decades, basically, I've been kind of acting and modeling part-time. And so I had an agent over there. So I was making some money, like doing token white guy roles in Thai commercials and whatnot. So they're pretty fun. But I was actually there, and I started to make my first dollars online. Like I did a webinar on like reverse engineering your goals, which that was like the one thing I felt qualified to talk about, because I was like, okay, I wanted to do this, be a class president. I became it. I'm captain of the team, get a college soccer scholarship, like all the things I set out for myself. A lot of them, at least, I was like, I figured out a way to do it because I reverse engineered my goals. So that was what I originally was making some money on. And I realized, oh, wow, you can like literally put the happy in your hustle. You can have your lifestyle that you desire with the freedom that, I crave 3 freedoms. And I think everyone does, right? Creative freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. And so that's really what I had and what I created. And then, that's kind of where the happy hustle was born. And then when I came back, I was like, there's something to this whole personal brand thing and building my own, kind of online business where I can be location independent as you are, right, in Costa.
Right. Well, my business became gave me that option only because of the pandemic. I mean, up until the pandemic, it was suits, it was boardrooms, conference rooms, company, planes, trains. I mean, it was just, as you said, just the go. It was almost like, I mean, I'd come out of days and weeks. I'd be like, wow, man. I mean, I haven't stopped for a day after day, right? It just go. And then the pandemic hits and everything went to zero in business, literally revenue. Like all the clients called, every contract canceled, right? And it was like, we'll call you back in 2 weeks, or we'll call you back in 2 months once things settle down. And at that point, myself and my team were like, well, fuck it. Let's just teach. Let's just run these virtual coffees. Let's just go back to the pure work of what we do. We're not making any money. There's nothing for us to do anyway, right? And we'll do the honor system. We'll reach out to the clients and say, if you've lost revenue, don't pay, but we're running the programs. You could send people for free. If you signed up for coaching and like you can't pay, we'll continue the coaching with you. And if you can pay, and if you can pay half, pay half. If you can pay full, pay full.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we lost $100,000 the first year of the pandemic, but it was an amazing year. It was a really, really good year. It was a forming year. And then obviously everything went to Zoom, and, we're delivering virtually, and halfway through the pandemic, we were in Canada. So Canada had a rough lockdown. And I said to my wife, I said, I got to get out of here. I'm like this. I stand in front of a camera all day. I mean, we could do this anyway. You work in front of a computer all day. We could do this anyway. And we were supposed to do San Diego. I tell the story all the time. We didn't end up doing San Diego and ended up in the 11th hour in Costa Rica. And it was going to be a 2-month working vacation. And what I was exposed down here within the first 2 months was life and community and friendship and social and waking up energized and gonna sleep early and being active and watching my kids run around. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I think we've got it wrong. I think we've been living this backwards. And this is where I love what you're talking about, right? Which is we get to have both, right? We get to have the drive and the business and the intensity and the grit and the success, but we also get to have the mental health and the emotional health, right? And the physical health and the well-being and the happiness. And we live in a world now, man, I think you'll appreciate this, which is it is hard to be happy, right?
I mean, I don't even know how to take that, honestly, because I feel like people make it hard to be happy. I don't know if it actually is.
Yeah. So, right? I mean, I agree, right? Right. I don't, I think people make it way harder, but, just generally, I mean, if we look around the world and you maybe do a polling of the room, how many people are truly happy? I think we're going to find far less than more.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right, man. And that's not just like theory talking. If you actually look at Gallup's State of the Global Workplace study, they actually stated 3 out of every 4 employees around the world are disengaged and unhappy with their work, which, newsflash, you're going to spend 81,000 hours working. So if you don't like your work, you're right, you're not going to be happy. And that's really why the happy hustle exists, to really help people put the happy in their hustle. But yeah, you're right. People, it's sad, but it is an epidemic, a soul-sucking epidemic of happiness.
Well, this is why the world needs guys like you, right? Which is this type of teaching and coaching and stuff.
Thank you.
So let's walk it through. So happy hustle. I'm a happy hustler. Give me the blueprint. Give me the playbook. What do I got to do? How do I start? What do I do to get both?
Well, I mean, usually it starts with an assessment. And if you're feeling froggy and you want to leap, Greg, I'll put you through the assessment live on the air, brother.
Yeah, you want to do the my assessment might show that I'm really happy. So what if I get really good results?
That's great. That means you're happy hustling. But if it's not, it'll be telling to where you potentially need to optimize for change, right? And so one thing I would say is everyone out there, I love podcasts and, consuming content, but really, if you want to get something out of this, be an active participant and actually write down your own scores, as I put Greg through the assessment as well. So
let's do it.
So Greg, if you
scores or
you write down your scores, and then we're going to add them up at the end. So everyone out there, get a pen and paper, or if you're driving, just, don't obviously crash, but do your best to take notes on these 10 different scores. And these are the 10 alignments of being a happy hustler. This is our whole framework. This is the book. This is their courses, this is what we teach. And it's a way to blissfully balance your life, both personally and professionally. Okay. But it starts with an assessment, because in order to grow, you need to know, right? So the rubric is 1 to 5. Like, I wasn't much for school, but I do know the grading scale. 5 is like an A, 1 is like an F, right? So, and subsequently 2, 3, 4, you can figure it out. But 5 is, you're happy hustling, you're crushing it in this particular area of life. 1 is you're failing, right? And I want you to just think about the last 30 days, Greg. Like, don't go, your full life. It's too broad. So we're going to think of the last 30 days, and everyone out there do the same. So the first, we call it our soul mapping framework, it makes up the 10 alignments. And soul mapping, it's, your soul's mapped to the blissfully balanced promised land. And the S stands for selfless service, right? Selfless service, meaning, are you giving your time, your insights, your finances to causes and people you care about and believe in? And this is like more so charitable giving, not necessarily like, oh, I'm doing a podcast and I'm giving my time, but then like in the back end, I'm getting leads, right? Like that doesn't count, right? That fits into a different category, which we'll get into. So give yourself a score, 1 to 5. 5 is, you're volunteering all the time. You're giving your time intentionally. You're giving your money, your insights, your mentoring. 1 is maybe you're just living for yourself and your own personal gain lately. So, and maybe if you want to just kind of interject with your scores as we go.
I'm always careful. You don't want to be 5, you don't want to be 1. I was thinking about maybe 3.8, 4.2, all that kind of stuff. But I went with a 4. I thought about it over the last 30 days. I've actually spent a lot of time giving money, giving time, spending time, and it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling. Oh, yeah. To support and help, and I think in a lot of cases it's kind of part of our responsibility as well.
For sure, man. Amen to that. All right, now we get into the O, optimized health. Optimized health, this is, like health is wealth. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's every part of your life will suffer. I really think, and inside the book, we have acronyms for each of these. This one would be energy, exercise, nutrition, environment, rest, gallon, and youth. And so we have these pillars of how to raise your score if you are subsequently low. So without going too deep, we'll just do the assessment part here, but give yourself a score in terms of mental, physical, emotional well-being and health lately in the last 30 days.
So I gave myself 3.5. because I've actually been really good this year, but I ended up breaking my knee in March, which set me out. And then 6 weeks, 7 weeks ago, my back went on me. And yeah, so it's been a lot of recovery and stuff. And I probably haven't been eating as healthy as I should. And I haven't been able to work out, except yesterday, the first day I went back to the gym, which was nice. So, so I want to be a 5 at that.
Yeah, for sure. Have you tried stem cells? Sidebar.
My friend, you great minds, my friend. So I just 2 weeks ago, actually, I'm officially 14 days after I just had stem cell treatment on my back. Awesome. It's been a game changer. I'm still going to go through a little bit of physio and sort of build back up the strength of the back, the glutes, the legs. But I don't think I would be sitting here today with you if I didn't do the stem cells 14 days ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big proponent of stem cells, and actually Dr. Kristen Kamela is a close friend, and she was like one of the OGs of stem cells, and she's got a clinic in South Florida. If you wanted an intro, I'm happy to make it, but you already got it handled, it seems like. So awesome.
I'm always open for an intro, and Rhythmia is doing stem cells now too.
Are they? I didn't know that. Good old Jerry.
I didn't know that either until I heard that recently.
Well, good for them. All right, now we get into the U. So you got the first 2, selfless service, optimized health. Now the U is unplugged digitally. Unplugged digitally. This is a tough one, man, because as a business owner or an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, you need tech, but oftentimes we become addicted to our devices, and it's like we're constantly listening to podcasts or watching Netflix or consuming YouTube videos, and it's like scrolling IG. Like, when does it end? It's overbearing oftentimes. And give yourself an honest score in terms of 1 to 5. 5 is like you're very intentional, you're crushing it, you're being very deliberate with your tech time, creating barriers, right? 1 is you're just like, it's just constantly on and you're constantly connected.
I'm going to go for 3.5 again. I think I could get a little better. I sometimes get caught up on just the death scrolling every once in a while, but I'm catching myself recently, which is like, okay, turn it off, get off this phone. Like you've been on it for a while. Right?
Yeah. I hear you. All right. And then we get into the L, loving relationships, right? So loving relationships, what's it all for if you don't have love in your life? And you and I both know plenty of wealthy people who their personal life and their marriage is in shambles. Their kids don't even know them. It's like, that's not success. That's not happy hustling. So this is a big piece to the puzzle. And, give yourself a score. 5 is you're very connected with your family and your friends, and there's plentiful pleasure with your partner. 1 is there's angst and despair and trauma, and you haven't figured it out yet. So where are you at with that one?
So I said five. I do. The marriage is good. The kids are good. Great community. I'm very intentional about my relationships. I think they bring a lot of emotional health to us. However, I'm going to go ahead and edit this down to a 4.5.
Okay.
Always
Okay.
room for improvement. There's always a little
Yeah,
extra we
yeah.
can do.
Love
All
it.
right,
Love
cool.
it.
Let's
All right.
go.
So we got the soul part down. Now we're getting to the mapping. Okay. So the M stands for mindful spirituality. Mindful spirituality means connecting to a higher power. For me, I don't really care one religion or another. I just think it's important to have faith in something bigger than yourself. And that could look like breath work, meditation, prayer, whatever. But I do think it has to be a part of the puzzle. And, our acronym for this one is CITS, CITS. And I always say, sit your ass down and just chill in the still. And that's what that means. and oftentimes that's, hard to come by, finding the stillness, but it really is impactful. So where you at in that one?
So I was going to give myself a lower mark, but as soon as you said stillness, I every day I will sit in quiet and just reflection. I do believe in something broader and bigger than ourselves. I don't know what that is. I'm not very religious, but I definitely think there's something beyond us, and you gotta have a little bit of faith in that universe. So I went with I feel like I need to judge myself harder, but I went with 4.
Listen, being a high performer, Greg, we're always hard on ourselves, but you just gotta be honest. Everyone out there, just be honest with yourself and keep it real. So now we get to the A, abundance financially. Abundance financially is, what most people think is like the almighty, God of success, but really it's just one piece. And yes, it is an important piece. Don't get me wrong, but give yourself a score. Like, are you saving, investing, and spending wisely, or are you living in fear of your finances and living paycheck to paycheck? And for me, I really love sales. I just love the art of the deal. I have a whole framework called the roadmap sales strategy that I like to share with people, because if they are struggling in this one, sales are your fastest path to enhancing abundance financially. But I digress again. Let's hear your score.
No, so let me just I just want to ask you about that question. So does this include, like, for example, I'm the business owner, so the business in doing certain revenue, is this included in this, or is it just
Yeah.
Okay? So
Yeah, no, it's all connected. I mean, it's your take on abundance financially. Can you do what you want with who you want as much as you want, right? That whole thing.
So yes, I think we've been very blessed and very grateful for what I've achieved, the business achieved, what my wife and I as a family and financially we've achieved, and we're doing very well. If you asked me this question truthfully 3 years ago, I probably would have been way lower, but I'm a 4 now, with some goals of improving revenue next year in the business.
Yeah, and we all have them, but that's awesome. Good for you. So now we get into the P, the first P, which is personal development. Personal development meaning, are you growing and evolving, or are you shrinking and dissolving, right? And I like my 30-30-30 system of guaranteed growth for this one, where I read 30 minutes in the morning, listen to 30 minutes of podcast in the afternoon, and just watch something visually stimulating in the evening. And it all hits the brain centers differently, but it's all inspirational and educational content. So give yourself a score. If you're obviously listening to this, you want to become a better human, you definitely are probably up there in this one, but where'd you land, Greg?
I went with a 4. And the one thing that made it from a 5 to a 4 was there's a lot of work that I want to do with some of the programming and the coaching, which is going to require spending not just personal time, but development time. And I that's where I'm struggling with that.
Okay.
But I spend a lot of time in the personal development world. I live in and breathe it. And always, in fact, one of the things I talk a lot about, and we hear this to the audience as well on the podcast, it is so important to be intentional about your social. Who are you following? What is the content you're digesting? Like, you can't end up in like this TikTok death valley of so go and like follow amazing thought leaders like Cary Jack, away from the Happy Hustler.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, to that point, like Russell talks about the Dream 100. Actually, my buddy Dana Derrick talks about it as well. But that was a big thing for me, where you actually unfollow everybody except the Dream 100, the people who have your customers, the 100 people that are speaking to your audience, And then every time you get in your social, it's almost like a research experiment, right? You're seeing what's working, what's not, what's getting engagement. And that's how I operate. Now I'm not perfect by any means. I never claimed to be, but I do think that's a really great, protocol to follow.
Yeah, I agree. I remember hearing that from him. I did the Russell Brunson training. So,
Oh, nice. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. He was a client of ours for the biohacking game I was telling you. So became a friend, and, he's been doing his thing, man. So good for him. So then the second P is passionate hobbies. Okay. Passionate hobbies is one I find a lot of high performers actually lacking. And this means actually doing fun things for yourself, right? That bring you joy, that bring you laughter, and that raise your vibration, right?
Mhm.
And this is something, for me, I love fly fishing and horseback riding and backpacking and playing soccer with the guys, training martial arts, like, dancing with my wife, like stuff like that. And it's important that you have this creative time to not focus on work. And I don't think enough high performers have it. So where'd you land in passionate hobbies?
I'm at a 5. I'm a
Hey.
hobby enthusiast. All right. I get excited about everything and anything, and I am filled with a lot of these different activities, whether it be sort of physical or just like the community social stuff. But I think, laughter is medicine. If we can laugh and be happy every day, you're going to live healthy. Mhm.
Dude, so true. All right. Well, good for you, man. You're happy hustling for sure. So impactful work is the I. This is really, where the rubber meets the road. And I know they're cliche buzzwords, but I'll explain them further. I look at it as like, okay, your passion is your inward calling on your heartstrings, right? Something really you feel called to do, to then actually serve a purpose, right? That outward serving mission. And with your purpose, it has to be someone that you actually want to serve. Like, we've all made the mistake where you sell the wrong people into your program or service, and you're
Right.
like have to fulfill on it, and it just
Right.
sucks your soul, right? Energy vampires, like my buddy John Gordon talks about. And so
Right.
you need to really think about your passion and your purpose to ultimately then make a positive impact, right? This is a big piece, and that's what Happy Hustling is all about, that impactful work. So where'd you land in impactful work?
I've always got something to qualify here. So, I mean, it's what we do, making humans better humans, right? It's better humans. Like every day, there's a purpose to get up. So I wanted to say a 5, but you mentioned something that every once in a while we take on clients that, we shouldn't be really working with or didn't go so well. I had one of those clients this year, and it reminded me of like sometimes, defining who we're working with is important. So I'm going to mark myself down there. There's room for growth there. I'm going to give myself a 4.
Okay. Love it. You're a stickler, man. Now we're getting to the N, nature connection. Okay. So living in Costa, it's, beautiful, right? Lots of nature. Me living in Montana, lots of wilderness and backcountry.
Beautiful.
And yeah, for sure. And I think, unfortunately, not enough people are. They're living like, caged zoo animals in their high-rise condos. They commute with their, cars, this cage on wheels, to then, go to their office cage, right? It's just like we're breathing in recycled air, soaking up toxic blue light, like EMFs are just penetrating our cellular DNA. It's a problem. And nature connection is oftentimes a solution, right? So that's really the end, nature connection. But also, it's not just connecting and getting outside and like take a walk every now and again, but it's being a part of the solution when it comes to protecting our planet, right? And being a conscious consumer, voting with your dollars, supporting sustainable companies like B corporations. My brother and I have another company now called Eco Breakthroughs, is fighting the plastic pollution epidemic and climate change, and investing in early stage startups and in the eco realm. And this is something that I think everyone needs to focus on: the triple bottom line: people, planet, and the profits, and finding the intersection of the three. But give yourself a score in nature connection when you factor in all those different pieces.
Well, bro, that's tough to live up against. You own an eco company and you're saving the turtles.
My buddy in Costa Rica is Mao. I should hook you up with him. He's got a 5-minute beach cleanup. Shout out to him.
Totally. I want to get my kids involved with that kind of stuff. Although the kids do a lot of
I'll
this
hook you up.
at school and stuff, like they'll do beach cleanup day and all that stuff. Okay, I'm not saving the planet by being a good consumer. I'm probably a bad consumer in some capacity. But, nature, being outside, I mean, I tons. Yeah, I'm going to go for 3.8.
3.8. All right. All right. Well, I don't usually do
I
point
would
eight,
have
but
gone with 5, by the way, but like again, this became like, making sure that you're responsible for climate and giving back. So I had
it
to go.
has to.
Yeah, I get it,
Yeah.
and you're right. We
Yeah.
all have this sort of responsibility. So that's where I got
We
to
do.
squeeze myself down a little bit. So 3.8.
Okay, awesome. Well, now you should have 10 scores. And Greg, I want you to go ahead and add those scores up and let's see where you land. Because if you're 40 or above, congratulations, you're happy hustling. If you are a 39 or below, unfortunately, we got a little work to do.
A
So
little work. All right, let me total this up. So we got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 25, 29.5, 30, 29, 32, 33, 36.5, and I just crept above the 39, so plus 3.8. I'm just going to make it a 4 for easy math. I'm sitting at a 40, right on the dot.
good work, man. Congrats. You're happy
Thanks,
hustling
brother.
it. And I figured you would be. But here's the
Yeah,
truth, guys. Everyone out there, give yourself grace. This is your baseline. And what you measure, you can manage, right?
right.
So you should be able to look at your scores and be like, hey, all right, I have some work to do in these areas of life. And the biggest thing, the happy hustle principle that I'd like to share is you must give equal importance to each of these 10 different areas of life, but focus on one at a time. Right.
Right.
So give equal importance to each of these 10 different areas, but focus on one at a time. See, the problem that I see with most people is when they're at work, they're thinking about their family, and when they're with their family, they're thinking about work. So they're not present and focused in the moment at either or any of them. Right. So that's just a big piece. And for you, man, you're crushing it in many regards. It's just it's a cool way to see. And I'll tell you straight up, I take my own medicine with this every Sunday. I'll look at my week in the past, and I'll just say, okay, I need to pivot here. Like this last week, I didn't volunteer at the Rotary Club like I normally do. I got my newborn little baby boy, so he's taking a lot out of me.
Well,
But
that's
it's just
volunteering in a
very
different
telling.
way.
Right. But anyway, that's kind of the happy hustle 10 alignments framework, and that's really how you can systematically harmonize that ambition and well-being.
Amazing. And I like what you do every Sunday. It's that recalibration,
Yeah,
right? I
exactly.
think I think that's what allows a lot of us to be successful is, are we able to take those moments and recalibrate, readjust, replan,
Yeah.
be very intentional about the space, about the effort, about your focus, about your time. And as you, what I love about this, and hopefully the audience got this, and if you didn't, let me describe it for you. If we don't take these moments and do these 10 checkpoints, you tend to fly by. Time goes by. Next thing you know, as we described it earlier, 3-4 years have gone by. Your kids are older. You said you were going to do something. I mean, it's interesting. We're at the time at the end of the year. So what do you get people doing? Jan 1st, I'm going to start doing this. Jan 1st,
Yeah.
I'm going to start I'm going to change my life. Right.
Yeah.
Up until then, I'm just going to live this out and continue to do, and then I'll change it. And it happens to be with, as you said, do a little bit of a check-in, a little bit of an assessment, and then focus on 1 or 2 things. We don't
Yeah.
need to flip everything upside down. I love your analogy. This week I'm going to spend a little more time volunteering because last week I got caught up and it's been busy and blah 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 blah. And it's easy to
Yeah.
do when you schedule it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool, very cool,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Scheduling is, like, to your point, the biggest catalyst, and you could just block your calendar so you have each of these factored in. And I don't have it on me, but we actually have a whiteboard fridge magnet that parlays with the book, and
Cool.
it's analog on purpose. And I'll send you one, by the way.
Love it.
It just literally goes on your fridge, and you can see your 10 different areas of life and an action task that's associated with each. So when you look at your day, you say, hey, okay, I got to give 15 minutes a day some way. And then it's binary. Did you do it? Yes or no? And you just check it off if you did. And that way you can actually keep track of your balance in real time. And that's something that people who really are serious about this, like our Happy Hustle Club, our community, they actually do this stuff. And it's crazy, the results, when you're just conscious about your decisions. And that's really what it takes oftentimes. And I will say one thing, too. all the New Year's resolutioners out there, rather than doing a grandiose goal, just commit to a habit, a New Year's habit. I really think that's sage words that I took from somebody, and I kind of made it my own. But you create a habit that actually, will get you to the goal. That's my piece there.
Right. I call it micro actions.
Exactly. Yep.
Micro actions. And, a lot of people, we talk about this a lot. They wait for the path. Like, show me the path. Show me the path. Action creates the path, right? 15 minutes a day creates the path. Love that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
just tell me a little bit about your community. Like, if someone wanted to get involved with it, what is it about? What does it require? What do they get to participate with?
Yeah. Well, the Happy Hustle Club it's our high level community for purpose-driven entrepreneurs who, want to achieve that blissful balance both personally and professionally, but maybe are a little stressed, maybe a little overwhelmed, maybe they're on the brink of burnout. So this is our place where we connect bi-weekly. It's kind of like your second family, but it's people who prioritize these 10 different areas of life. And we also do masterminds in person. We do the Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure, which I'd love to have you out for one of these, where we go into the backcountry wilderness for 5 days, actually, and completely off the grid. We hike in about 10 miles, bring primitive survival training into the picture, fly fishing, but it's a business mastermind. We do primal workouts, dude, it's fun. You'd like it. I mean, we had like a $15 million deal get struck around the campfire this last one. I was like, stuff like that happens all the time because, it's a really curated group.
Community, right?
Exactly. And then we have one coming up in March for snowboarding and skiing. If you like snowboard skiing, we rip it up it's all about mixing business with pleasure in the Happy Hustle Club. Really. We're doing one with Ben Greenfield in May, where we're focusing on the ultimate biohacking experience and harmonizing, the health component. And then we're doing a couples one as well. So 2024, we got some really cool ones. And as a part of the club, you get to go to the events. So that's kind of, our higher level thing. And yeah, if someone's interested, they could check out the happyhustleclub.com.
Well, on that note, what other links can you drop? Where could people learn more about Happy Hustle? Where could they learn more about Cary Jack?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say truthfully, the best thing to do if you actually are serious about it is get the book. We have version 2.0 right now available for pre-order. And I tell you, we poured into this. This is a whole year of rewrites. I paid a very prominent publishing company to do a full, they tore it apart and rebuilt it all together. And it's got new frameworks, new scientific data on happiness. And I'm really proud of it. So that is thehappyhustle.com/book. And if you did get the pre-order, you actually get $350 in bonuses, like masterclasses, workbooks, all sorts of resources in addition. So that would be the best thing. And then I know you're going to rock the mic with me on the Happy Hustle podcast as well. So I would say if anyone wants to just listen to, the Happy Hustle podcast and that episode that Greg and I do, you could check that out too. So those are some links.
Amazing. And we're going to drop all those links in the show notes as well. So for the audience, if you didn't keep up with that, you can rewind, by the way, and listen to that again. If not, we'll have that in the show notes for you. And definitely go follow Cary. Check out the Happy Hustle. Order the book. I mean, I love the cover, by the way, not just to take away from content in there, but as you flash it, I was like, wow, that's I like it, man. Very
this
cool.
It says not for resale because this is like the pre-version, but yeah. That would be, if you're watching the video version of this, that's, we try to make it fun, dude. I got pictures of me in a Speedo in here. All right. This is a fun book, but it also,
listen, I mean, that might just be the reason to get the book in itself. If you get a personalized picture of Cary in a Speedo, right? You want to hear a funny story actually before we end? Please. So I grew up in South Africa. In South Africa, you wear Speedos, right?
Yeah.
And we moved to Canada, right? And in Canada, you wear surf shorts or shorts.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is early days in Canada. My father's outside in the driveway in this rainbow colored Speedo. Okay. And the hair's everywhere and just a big dude and a Speedo. And my buddy comes over and it's my first friend. And he's looking, he's like, who the fuck is that? That's my father. He's like, what is your father doing in the driveway in the Speedo? Anyway, it was one of the most embarrassing moments ever. And from there, I think, this is where I adopted more of a North American short. So
listen, hey, more power to you.
Children.
Hey, if you can rock a Speedo, I think just you got to be unapologetically yourself.
Sure.
That's when it comes down to it. If you want to rock a Speedo, rock a Speedo. More power to you.
Listen, in Europe, do it. All the power to
Yeah.
you. In Montana, maybe not.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, you want to hear the funniest story?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we did end this, but so we had I take 15 high-level entrepreneurs into the backcountry Montana wilderness, right? And we're in the middle of nowhere, like no phones, no service, no nothing. Grizzly bears, wolves, moose, mountain lion. This is the real deal. And we're out there and we're in a circle doing like a yoga breath work, kind of like real kind of woo-woo training. And one of the guys, butt naked, wouldn't put clothes on the whole time. That's not, like he was hilarious. I had my Speedo on, my camo Speedo. We were just like it was just like, this isn't like a normal thing, but just this happened to be this whole training. We were doing a full flow, and here comes 5 cowboys riding up on horseback, and they come rolling up to this circle of dudes in the middle of the nowhere wilderness. And they're like, what the hell is this? A bunch of gays out here in the mountains? Dude, it was hilarious. And no one was gay either. It's just a bunch of bros.
You can imagine the perception, right? The
Oh,
one guy,
yeah.
isn't this the nudist vacation that we're supposed to be coming on right now?
Yeah, it was hilarious. My buddy Ian Stanley, who was on that trip, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
He tells that story on stage, and it's hilarious how he tells it. So anyway, that's not standard. If anyone comes on the Montana Mastermind, usually people have their clothes on, but one dude, he decided he wanted to just free ball it.
Listen, hey, listen, when you're in the wind and you're in nature and you just want to be free and get back to your most natural self, you can rationalize that a little bit.
Yeah, that's it, man. Getting primal.
Amazing. All right. At the end of the episode, we come to the most important question, which is the better human question, which is, what do you think we could all do to be better humans tomorrow?
I mean, honestly, I go to balance equals happiness. So it's systematically harmonizing ambition and well-being to create that balance in your life. And I really, truly believe that.
Awesome. I totally agree. Cary, really appreciate today's conversation, my friend. We got to do this again and again.
Yeah, man. Awesome connecting with you, brother. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Peace and love.
For the audience, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to go and follow Happy Hustle and Cary Jack. And we will see you next week. Stay happy, stay healthy.